Once again, thanks to the entire SJBIT family for this particular opportunity. Of course, I'm basically, as you know, all of you know, I'm a chemistry person, but definitely here I'm not going to talk anything related to the chemistry or anything about the technology also, because I'm not the right person to speak anything about technology. And also, I'm not a fully entrepreneur. So whatever I know something about entrepreneurship and uh, the opportunities, particularly for the researchers as well as the faculty members in terms of the startups. So I'm just giving some introduction related to the startup, what is meant by startup and what benefits you can get. And before that, as a motivational, I would like to give some few successful entrepreneurs who are basically from science and technology field. Okay. So first of all, my respectful pranams to His Holiness Jagadguru Shri 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 Dr. Nirmala Nandanath Mahaswamiji and Shri Shri Dr. Prakash Nath Swamiji. Namaskar Swamiji avರಿಗೆ. And my acknowledgements to the management, the principal, and my friend Dr. Ajay Chandran, Dr. Bhanu Prakash, as well as Dr. Ajay and the entire team of SJPIT Bangalore. And of course, my acknowledgements also due to our beloved director, Professor K. Uma Maheshwar Rao, who is the source of inspiration for all our activities in NITK Surathkal. And of course, whatever my CV, which has reached to this small extent, whether in terms of publications or it may be patents or the citations, it's because of the generous funding which I have received in the initial days. Because without funding, we cannot do any research, and without research, we cannot grow our CV also. So I would like to acknowledge the Department of Atomic Energy Board for Research Nuclear Science, then DRDO, Department of Information Technology, Government of India, and of course the Vision Group on Science and Technology, Government of Karnataka, for the funding and recognizing our research activities. And of course, to all my present and former group members, because all these patents or the publications, whatever is there, it's because of their contribution. I'm just monitoring them, and they are the real, the inventors or the researchers who have worked in the laboratory, and they have immensely contributed to all our ongoing research activities. Yeah. So, what is entrepreneurship? So if you put the word entrepreneurship in Google, so you can get, or in the internet, you can find many definitions. So one of the definition which I liked that I'm going to present here. So an entrepreneur is an individual who creates a new business, bearing most of the risk. The word risk, which is very important here, bearing most of the risk and enjoying most of the rewards. The process of setting up a business is known as entrepreneurship. And the entrepreneur here is commonly seen as an innovator, a source of new ideas, goods or services or businesses or the procedures. So what I mean to say here is starting a new business, okay, or in a very, just in a two sentence we can define it in this way also: the activity of setting up a business or businesses taking a financial risk in the hope of profit. So this is the, and many other similar type of definitions also you can find in the internet. So you may thinking that why we have to take the risk or the entrepreneurship if someone is starting some business, because there are hundreds of business opportunities are there. Of course, they are the entrepreneurship. But particularly this startup which goes to the, or the terminology startup at the later stage when I'm presenting that, that is particularly to the something innovative type of the idea, new type of the ideas, or new type of the materials, or new type of the services. So that is particularly for the startup business. And the person who is involved in that such type of the activity, he is an innovator. So that is the difference among the a startup entrepreneurship as well as any normal type of the entrepreneurship. So in a normal many other businesses, so they, in all cases, the person who has started the organization or company, he cannot be termed as innovator. But through the startup, because the startup is particularly for new ideas, new innovation, or the new materials, new services. So those type of the activities with the, in terms of having some profit. So that is actually the entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship related to the startups. So I'm going to talk here about the entrepreneurship with the startup with that particular concept. So you may ask me why one has to bear the risk, and one need to start the something with the financial risk, and then why to start a new business. Or all of your faculty members, maybe, I don't know, some, maybe there may be some students also must be there. So why this risk has to be taken, and why a business has to be started? If you are thinking in that direction, then you're wrong. Just tell me any one of the field or any one area where there is no risk is not involved. In every field, risk is involved. When you're even a student, when they're studying in colleges or in schools or even in universities at a higher education, there is risk in everything. When you are traveling on a road or in an aircraft, everywhere risk is there. There is nothing which is free from the risk. And so particularly in academic institutions, so there are the faculty members who are with the lots of ideas, and even the students, a large number of students who are ready to work for even for 16 to 18 hours per day. Even there are many, some young faculties, young researchers who are able to give the maximum. So in order to execute your ideas, whatever the new type of the ideas or innovation into some products and to gain some profit, that is through the startups. So that's what in the last recently in 4 or 5 years, 3-4 years, the word startup has gained more and more importance. And for your kind information, even in the new education policy, NEP 2020, so there also, I don't know whether you have gone through the contents of the NEP 2020 or not, I don't know. But if not, please go through that. They have listed many areas, many disciplines in which entrepreneurship and the startup is also one such. That is also a part of the NEP 2020. That means in the next coming years, there are still a lot of opportunities, even faculty members, even for a lecturer or an assistant professor or a professor, anyone, or maybe even for a students in the educational institutions. So you'll get a lot of opportunities where you are the ideas, innovative new type of the ideas which can be turned out into some profitable business, by which not only your institution growth but your personal growth also will be there. So this is what the government has, the central government has modified this startup policy. Say earlier days, being a faculty member, or particularly that too with the faculty member who is in a government organization, they are not supposed to do any sort of business. That was a crime actually. It was not supposed to be. But now the policy has been changed. So now according to the new procedure, even the government is, central government particularly, there's a lot of encouragements for the faculty members to start the startups. So even at NITK Surathkal, so I have started a startup company by name Apatech Solutions. Of course, just 1 year back only, due to the pandemic and COVID situation, we could not started any much activities, but already some one patent we have filed and some few of the publication. We are mainly focusing on nanomaterials as well as water filtration, water purification related type of the innovative ideas. And those ideas, once you get those type of the ideas or try to have the IP of that, that is intellectual property. That means that you file a patent, and after that you need not carry out the manufacturing of that, but that whatever your idea is there, that idea could be transformed into to it can be sold to the some other company or the industry who are willing to buy. So thereby the institution will also get a some a good amount of the money, and not only that, since the whomever the inventor or the innovator who are involved in that, they will also get the major share. So that is as per the startup India policy of the government of India. Earlier, no such facilities were there. So now this is the sky is the limit for all the faculty members to think about to start a startups. Later at the later stage, I'm going to explain in what are the benefits you are going to get at the later stage. Okay. So right now, let me give some 4-5 examples. I hope who may be highly inspirational personalities to all of you. Before that, let me share the principles by one of the, we can say, the guru among the entrepreneurs in the India. One such personality, the great personality, that is Dhirubhai Ambani. So this great personality, who is from basically from a village from Gujarat, and at the age of 17, he moved to the Yemen. Yemen, out of India, another country was by name Yemen. So he moved there at the age of 17. Just imagine, age of 17 is a boy supposed to be in the 11th or 12th standard in the college. But at that age, so he left the country and in search of some job, so he moved to the Yemen. And there he worked in a polymer or a plastic related company. There he worked for some 5-6 years, and he got some knowledge related to that business. And soon after having that knowledge, then he came back to India, particularly in Mumbai. And then in Mumbai during 60s, he started a small, he hired a room, a small room, which is hardly about 12 feet by 15 feet. 12 feet by 15 feet, such a small room. And in that, he named the company as Reliance, and the business of his company was it was about importing the petrochemical based plastic, that is a polymer, and then the marketing of that to the some locally based some other companies. So hiring the yarn and then polymer yarn or the fabrics, and then selling to the other industries. And it was started in a small room of 12 by 15 feet. So now can you imagine what is the growth of that company? It's a few billion-dollar profit-making company every year, and this is the largest company businesses or many other businesses also that company has successfully achieved. So let me give his principles, which will be always inspirational to all of us. It need not be in the, it's not only just restricted only for the business, even in the academy also, we can adopt his principles. So first thing is don't give up. So under any circumstances in your profession or in a research career or anything, whatever it may be, so you may not be successful in the first, second or third attempts. Don't worry, continue your effort until you achieve the success. So don't give up. Second one, always think a bigger one. Don't think in a small way. Think in a big way, and also thinking should be very faster. And think for the future. Suppose if you are working on in the research, so just a small vision or thinking at a very later stage, don't do it that way. So whatever the need of the present one, think in a bigger way and also think for the future. So what could be the future? After 10 years, after 15 years, in that way, thinking has to be there, because always the whatever the ideas are there, these are no one's monopoly. So everybody have the thinking ability or the having our own ideas, but it's not anyone's monopoly. Suppose if you are born poor, that is not your fault. But if anyone are dying poor, then definitely it's our fault. If you think, work with the determination and with the perfection, definitely the success will follow. And if you don't build your dream, someone else will hire you to help them to build their dreams. So there is nothing wrong in dreaming anything. So first you have to dream, and then you work in that direction so as to make your dream into reality. Dr. Ajay, by any chance, if there is a disconnecting in the internet, because here it's some severely it's rain has started in Mangalore.
Okay.
So nothing to worry. So immediately I can shift my within a minute. I will at the latest stage. By any chance, if it got disconnected, I will change my network. Huh? So
Sure, no problem.
I may take 1.5 minutes to change the in such cases. Huh?
Yes, sir. Yeah, no problem.
Thanks. Then just meeting any given deadlines is just not, that is not enough. So beating the deadline, this is his expectation. So he was always thinking whatever the deadlines given to the his other officials or the company employees, that is just, he was always telling, just meeting the deadline, that is not sufficient. So try to beat those deadlines. So that is the, in that way you have to move. Say for example, if you have planned, okay, for this particular year 2021, I want to publish 4 research papers. So if you just work in that direction, just to meet that given deadline, or the maybe the deadline which has been given by the your principal or maybe the head of the department to the individual faculty members. So just meeting that deadline, that is not sufficient. So you try to beat that given deadline. So try, why not 5 or 6 or 7? So think in that direction. And always pursue your goals even in the face of the difficulties, and convert whatever those difficulties or adversities are there, you can convert into opportunities. So for example, this COVID has we can say this is a if you all the industries, if they think that is the difficulties or the it's an adversity, then there are many pharma companies in India. So during this pandemic, so there was earlier, before March 2020, I don't know how many of you have seen the sanitizer, hand sanitizers, or how many of you have heard about that. But now it has become common. So there is a huge business for that. So the moment when there was a need of this hand sanitizer, so many of the pharma company who are not at all in this particular business, so immediately they converted this adversities or this difficult situation into some opportunity. So that has took their company in the profitable. Similarly, even in the during the present lockdown also, many, almost all the garments in Bangalore, they have completely shut down. I don't think any of those garments they have made these adversities into opportunities. Like for example, the need of a N95 mask, quality N95 mask in the ISO certified. Very rarely we are getting in the market. We are getting in the name of N95 masks we are getting, but these are not, most of the majority of them are not ISO certified. So there was many of these garment companies, they would have converted these adversities into by during those period. Of course, it needs some innovative ideas. I'm just giving an example. And of course, the growth has no limit. Keep revising your revision only when you dream it, and you can do it. So always dream. First, you dream about that, whatever it may be, your goal or your vision, whatever it may be, and then try to work towards it to convert that dream into the reality. And our dreams have to be always bigger, and our ambitions also always have to be bigger. Our commitment also to be deeper, and our efforts also to be greater. So many our students, MSc students or the bachelor BTech students from NITK Surathkal. So I used to ask them at the final year or in the final semester what you are planning to do. Of course, more than 95% people, they go for they get selected in the campus interview, and some 2-3% people, they have ambition of going for a master's or a PhD. Suppose if they say, sir, I want to join a PhD for NITK Surathkal. I always tell them, don't join NITK Surathkal. Look at the IIScs, IISc Bangalore or IITs. Look at those universities or those institutions. Or if you want to do the any research or a masters in abroad, don't look at smaller universities. So look at the Harvard or MIT, that is the Massachusetts, or those type of the higher institution. Suppose if you are not able to get, then definitely our doors are kept open. So always you think in a larger, your goal or ambition and dream always should be in the higher side. Don't dream at the lower direction. Let me give one great personality, Thomas Alva Edison. So this great personality, who born in Ohio State of United States during 1837 or 38. I'm sorry, I have not included his year of birth. Sometime during 1830s, mid of 1830s. And at a very young age, when he was around 3 to 4 year old boy, so he lost his father at a very younger age. And when he was admitted in a nearby school, so within few months, so he was removed from the school for his hyperactive behavior. So this boy was always hyperactive, very naughty boy his at the age of 5 in the school. So that is the reason he could not stay in the school for about 3 months. So within 3 months, the headmistress of that school, so she cancelled his admission, and that's how he was removed from the school. And his all primary education was taken care by his mother at her house only. And after his completion of the school, and then at the age of around 12, so he completely lost the hearing problem. So he developed the hearing problem at the age of 12. And then at the later stage, when he got older, so Edison believed, so whatever the hearing loss which he has, which he got, hearing loss, so that has allowed him to avoid the distraction and concentrate more easily on his work. Just see, this is the one such example where the difficulties or the obstructions were converted into opportunity. So he is telling, so that has allowed him to avoid the distraction and concentrate more on it has helped him to concentrate more on his work. And then at the later stage, he completed the bachelor's in science, and then he was very much interested in the beginning only in the chemistry as well as in the physics. And in between, He also used to earn money by selling the candies, newspapers, vegetables in the trains, and every weekly about $50 he used to earn at the age of about 13. And most of the whatever he was earning that amount, the money, so most of that he used to spend it for buying either the books or the chemicals or the different type of the equipments which are required for the his studies and the research. And this great personality, so he had innovated many of the even the products, like the one such example is the incandescent bulb. So you may be surprised. So this great personality. So initially, when he was a researcher, and then slowly turned into a businessman, and then he could file about in his name 1093 US patents in his name. 1093 US patents in his name, and about even now also about 8 to 10 companies of his ownership. So these were in very popular in United States. So if you get an opportunity, please go through his biography. It's a highly inspirational. It's a highly inspirational to all of us. So you'll come to know how a very simple boy who was a very naughty boy, and when he missed the school education in the school, and then when he lost the when he developed the hearing problems, how he could got converted into and researcher come businessman. So that's a really highly inspirational. So please go through whenever time permits. So one such his example, that is electric bulb, was also his innovation. About that at the later stage. Let me give one more great personality from our own country. That is Karsanbhai Patel. Most of us might not have heard about his name, Karsanbhai Patel, but definitely the brand Nirma, which have presented here, the brand Nirma, that is the detergent. Sorry, just I want to go back. The Nirma, that was actually he's the founder and he's the entrepreneur of this Nirma company. So this personality, he born in a small village in during 1945 in a small village and farmer community in Gujarat. And then he completed his BSc during 1966, and then he joined as a chemist in a small company there. And within a year, that is during 67, he moved to a mining industry, a mining company, where he used to analyze the mine samples. That is nothing but the ore sample. He used to do the chemical analysis of that. That is during the 67 or 68, at the age of hardly 21, 22. And during that time in India, the monopoly for this detergent powder, that was only from the Hindustan Unilever company, the brand is Surf. And that time during the 60s, 68, 16, 67, 68, that time the Surf powder, which was sold at about 12 to 13 rupees per kg. I'm talking about 1967-68. So 12-13 rupees, it was a for a common man, it was a very expensive task. Even to the middle class also, sometimes it was beyond the reach. Only people with the higher class only, they were able to purchase that one. And there is a monopoly in this one. There are no other competitors also during 67-68. So this Karsanbhai Patel, so in his house only, there also with he developed his own formulation, and that detergent, that was phosphate free, and his initially when he has started in his residence, a small room which is measuring hardly 10 by 12 square feet room in the during the 69. That means he was working in that mining industry, and that mine industry, it was located about 17 kilometer from his residence. That means almost from I think from Majestic to the Yelanka, up to that distance. Every day he used to go by bicycle, by paddling the cycle. And when he developed this detergent powder of his own formulation, so every day while going to the office, he used to carry about 15 kgs, each packet of about 1 kg. So 15 kg, 15 packets. So he used to sell in the nearby on the way to the small other shops, or maybe directly he used to supply. That's how this Nirma company which was started, and now it is worth of 20 more than 25,000 crores company, and about 25,000 plus employees are working in this direct employment for about 25,000 people, and many thousands of people indirectly, those who have got the job. So this is the successful story from the Karsanbhai Patel, or the founder of the Nirma. So the name Nirma, because Nirma was the name of his daughter. So the same name he gave to the his company. Now, of course, they are in the other businesses, like even the Nirma University also, and other related soaps and other businesses also they have entered. So this is I hope he's another inspirational to all of us. One more from our own Bangalore. I think I need not tell much more about this great personality. Again, Madam Kiran Majumdar. She born on 23rd March 1953 in Pune, and then her initial her schooling as well as college education in Namma, Bangalore. Because her father was working in a breweries. That is, breweries is nothing but the wine production company, breweries. Okay, so there he was working as a brewer. That is the fermentation process. The person who is to carry out the fermentation, that they are termed as a brewers. So he is a well-known brewer, her father. So he was working in Bangalore in one of the such company, and he wanted his daughter also to follow in the same direction. That is, he wanted she also to become a brewer. And then after completion of her college, that is BSc in Bangalore, then she moved to Australia, and she completed her masters during 1975 in Australia, and her specialization was about the fermentation technology. And she came back during 75, she came back to India, and then for about a year, she worked in Kolkata in one of the wine industry as a brewer. But she wanted to do her own business, her own company she wanted to set up. So again, what happened? Again, during the 76, after serving for 1 year in Kolkata, then she moved again to the abroad. So this time she moved to the Ireland, and there she worked in a Biocon company. It's actually a foreign company. It's Ireland based. So in the Biocon she worked actually. So after working there for about 2 years, then she came back to India, that's Bangalore, during 78, and then she started the Biocon India in Bangalore. And it is not in any large company or any of the industry area, but a old unused garage. So that was the her first initial officially established company. It was in an unused garage, and her first employee was the owner of that garage himself. The owner of the garage, who was actually serving as a mechanic person, and then due to some reason he closed his garage, and he was also looking for some job. So she hired this person as a her employee. So he was an officially, that person was a her first employee, we can say. And what business they started was So she was, since her area was in the fermentation technology that is related to the enzymes, that is the biocatalyst. So she explored the business in the enzymes only. So in the nearby that area, the Hosur or the whatever the present electronic city is surrounding that region, all those were agricultural lands. So they visited the nearest agricultural lands and they suggested the even encouraged the farmer community to grow the papaya. And papaya growing is not for the fruits, but they wanted to extract the enzyme from the papaya fruit. The enzyme is called as pepine, and those enzymes they started exporting that. So that is how this Biocon was started during 78, and then within a few years it has grown into a huge giant. So now it's a again more than 20,000 employees, and particularly the chemical engineers, chemists, and the biologists who are working in a, and even in abroad also they have opened many such their companies, the franchises, as well as they have also entered into the pharmaceutical business and fine chemical business also. So I hope this is another one. Let me tell some interesting things, because many of you I know are from computer science background. Even our Dr. Ajay also, Dr. Ajay Prakash, who is coordinating this. I think he's also from the. Am I right, sir?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm from computer science.
Yeah, so I just thought of including the another great personality, Mark Zuckerberg. So this person, so he's hardly 37-year-old now. He's 37-year-old, and he's the world's fifth richest person as on June 2021, and his assets are worth of 123.1 billion US dollars as of June 2021. Can you imagine? Just the age of 37, and he's the world's fifth richest person. Yeah, so this person actually, when he was in and the about this Facebook, this was actually started by him when he was in the student in the Harvard University. And in the Harvard University, when I was, the inspiration can come in anywhere, any place. There is no any limitation. That's what I was telling you in the beginning. Always think bigger, dream about any of the ideas, how to convert the idea into some profitable business or some innovative type of the products. So when he was in the hostel or the dorms at the Harvard University, as you know, in every hostel it's a common that a register will be maintained where every student's on every page of the one page is maintained kept for a one student where his or her photograph, then the parents' phone numbers, address, the branch of specialization, all those details will be maintained in it's common in every hostel. So the same thing was maintained even in the Harvard University also. And the name given for that book in the Harvard University hostel, that was the Facebook. So that has made him to think in a something in the different direction. So initially, so he developed this Facebook app particularly for a small community. That means only it was restricted to the his hostel people. Then later, slowly, because of the popularity, within few weeks, it was spread to the entire Harvard University, and within years, within a couple of 2-3 years, it spread to the entire globe. So this is the, and then of course he could not continue. He was not able to continue his education in the Harvard, even though because his interest was to continue in this direction. Because when he was a student at the age of 20, just at the age of 20, and he was at the middle of his Bachelor of Engineering education at the Harvard, which is such a prestigious institution. But when as there was a tremendous opportunity, so he quit the Harvard University, and he continued with his business, that is a Facebook. So now just at the age of 37, he's 123 billion US dollar worth person. So that is a inspiration. I'm just giving one such example, or even the Michael Dell also. So when he was at the University of Texas Austin, UTA or University Texas Austin. So when he was in the hostel, so there he developed he got the idea of starting this Dell company. So likewise, many such ideas which even your students also, they may also get. So give them some environment so that they can think in that particular direction. So that because now our country or the end is we need the entrepreneurs. So just having a degree and then getting a job, that is not sufficient now. And also, it's many times it's also challenging and it's difficult. So one should not be job seekers, but job providers, job creators. So this Zuckerberg. So there are many like Michael Dell or many examples even from the technology field also. We can list many such great personalities. Now, next 8-10 minutes, I will speak about the startup. So the startup India, this was actually launched by Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji on 16th of January 2016. And according to the Startup India Action Plan, the Startup India Hub will be a single point of contact for the entire ecosystem, and it enables the knowledge exchange and access to the funding. So here, the consolidate its main objectives to bring all the stakeholders to a common platform, value proposition for all the stakeholders, then connect with the global ecosystem, stimulate others to join in this particular ecosystem, and facilitate stakeholders, that is access to information and knowledge, and also hand-holding support. So with this, on 16th January 2016, the Startup India Action Plan was implemented. Now this might have came in your mind, what is this startup? Many times in the newspapers or news channels or papers, always we see the startups. So what is this startup? How to define a startup? So according to the Government of India, the startup is the definition given in following ways. Any company, okay, any company, that means if we are considering in terms of its how old that company, or what is the age of that company, in terms of that, any company which is from the 10 years from the date of incorporation. Okay, 10 years from the date of the incorporation. And what type of the entity? Based on the entity, it should be either private limited company or LLP. LLP stands for the limited liability partnership. So whatever I have started as a faculty member in NITK Surathkal, it's a limited liability partnership. So it can be registered within no time. Okay, or another one is partnership firm. So what I'm suggesting, the best way is for you guys is that is to the LLP, limited liability partnership. Later, based on the company profits or based on its growth, then later even that can be converted into private limited company also. Then in terms of the turnover, it should not exceed, under any circumstances, it should not exceed 100 crores in any of the fiscal years of this 10 years. And then it should be actively involved in the innovation type. That's what I just mentioning. If in the market, if someone started some existing type of the business, maybe some person is running an electrical shop, if you are starting an electrical shop, that cannot be termed as a startup unless there is something innovative ideas which is involved. Okay, but if you are starting something with some new app which you have developed, and you have file that for a patent or the patenting of that whatever the new app which you have developed, and then with that particular app you can start a startup because it's a innovative, it's a new type of the idea, so which can be converted, but not an existing electrical shop or any other existing hotel, that cannot be straight away termed as a startup. But if a hotel business where some other innovative ideas, maybe something online, new type of the business with the online, through the online, definitely that is an innovative new type of the type. So that can be termed as a startup business for the even for the hotel. It's so something innovative to be there. So all these are the definitions which are given for a startup as per the government of India. And then the recognition procedure, it's a very simple. There are the online application forms which are available. So you need to keep the checklist and just upload those whatever the required supporting documents. And then the application will be evaluated by the team of Startup India, government Startup India from their team. And then within 3 to 4 working days, so they will get back to you with the result. So suppose if your company is dealing with some innovative type of the product, then straight away within 3 to 4 working days, the Startup India will recognize your organization, your company as a startup company, and you'll get a registration number also. So it's a very simple task. Then what are the advantages for these startups? Only I'm highlighting a few important benefits for these startups. So earlier, before 2014 or before that, I mean, when there was no startup policy by the previous government, the any of the government organization, if they are going to purchase any of the equipment or even software or computers or anything, so they need to follow the tendering process. I hope all of you are aware about that. And there is, of course, the all companies, they are not able to participate in those type of the tenders because they keep some experience, minimum of 5 years of conditions, 5 years or 10 years of experience is required. The turnover should be at least 50 crores or something like that. Earnest money deposit is required. But a new company which was started just 2 years back, so they cannot participate because the tender requirement is 5-year-old experience. So they cannot participate. And their turnover is maybe hardly few lakhs in the first year or in the second year. So how they can meet that 5 crores? So they cannot participate. But now if you have a Startup India registered company, then you will be completely exempted from all these things. So you can straight away participate in the tender without any of these headaches. And then through the startup, if you are applying the patent, the earlier it was a time consuming. Now the fast track examination will be done if the patent is filed through the startup company. Not only that, if you are filing a patent through your startup company, whatever the expenditure, maybe about 50 to 60,000 expenditure will come to file the complete patent. So once the patent is granted in a 2 year or 3 year or 1 year, whatever the period it may be, depending on its novelty. So once the patent is granted, the whatever the spent amount, say 50,000 you have spent for filing the patent, your startup has spent. So that entire amount will be reimbursed to you from the government of India. Please remember. So this is just for the encouraging the startups. Tax benefit. So here for certain years of period, you have been exempted from the income tax. And there is a self-certification in terms of compliance regime. So earlier there is a physical inspection by the various government, the authorities, and you might be knowing how difficult it is to satisfy the entire needs by, even though sometimes if your company is satisfying all those requirements or the needs, but still the official who have visited, their mindset may be different. They may not be cooperating. Physical inspection of those people were required, but now that has been completely removed. Just the self-certification. And suppose if a company they want to exit, if they want to come out, then it was about 4 years task earlier, but now it is within faster exit, even 90 days. Within 90 days, they can, if they want to close up and come out also, it is possible. So now my question is why these startups are required in the academia. So some of the aspects already have highlighted earlier. Within 2 minutes, I will complete this particular part. So one is because the academia, as I already mentioned, it is a multidisciplinary where students are there, hundreds or thousands of students are there. And this is the only platform where multidisciplinary researchers or the faculties can interact. You see the computer science, mechanical engineering, civil engineering, chemical engineering, electrical, electronics, IT, chemistry, physics, literatures, business management, or even many other courses. So it's a hub of the multidisciplinary. So in such a multidisciplinary hub, so it's a best platform where the ideas, innovative ideas, which can be converted, which can be transformed into the some products or profitable business. It is possible. Only thing is you need to think in a different way, in a innovative way. And of course, the more room for the risk, and always somebody always he used to tell, more the risk, more is the you have the chances to shine, or more profit you can earn. So always the more room for the risk. And the cross-campus collaboration. So this is possible only in the case of the academic institution. Such a cross-campus collaboration, that is nothing but the collaborations between science and the engineering, which is possible only in the academia, but not in the industries. And for your kind information, with the chemistry, with the collaboration with the chemistry, please don't blame me that I'm a chemistry, so I'm just telling this. I have a strong examples also I can give you. Many examples. So always the chemistry, because the materials, the every field now the materials are required. Maybe even the nanomaterials, nanotechnology. So these are based on the chemistry research, basically on the chemistry research. So with the chemistry knowledge, you can come out with the new materials or a new type of the innovative ideas. So it is possible. In NITK, I'm guiding the earlier already have successfully guided student from materials and metallurgical engineering, and then mechanical engineering student who has registered, and his work is in chemistry. He's a mechanical engineering student. I am one of the guide, and then even I'm working with some civil faculty, civil professor. You know, the concrete. How to the now the challenge is to make the concrete material into the low cost and green material, low cost as well as the green. So some waste such as the fly ash, which can be converted. So already which has been reported, fly ash, definitely it's but still there is a scope for improvement. So we are working with one professor who has written from Canada. Of course, he's not working in our institute, but in another private institution in Bangalore. So every day we used to go morning walk, because he's staying in our building only, in our apartment only. So we used to go every day walking, and then sometime we used to discuss these things. And we have started recently, some 2 months back. So some nanomaterials, because we have the expertise in developing the nanomaterials. So these nanomaterials, to the concentration of 0.1, 0.2, 0.3% added in the your cement concrete, its strength can be enhanced by 10%, 20%, 30%, like that. These can be published in a high impact journals. Maybe Dr. Ajay Chandra may be knowing, later he may tell something about this concrete materials. So with the chemistry, it is possible. So you can think in that direction. And hands-on experimental programs. So you get a lot of equipments, which are instruments which are available in the your academia in the institute, which could be even made use for the startup applications also. And then you'll always get dedicated students. So I don't know what is maybe the strength of maybe some 2,000 or 3,000, maybe 2,000, maybe suppose strength of your students. So that much manpower you are getting free of cost. So you choose some, at least some 10%. So choose some, the students who are very much interested in these activities, take them and you give them some project under your startup company, in the which was startup company to be initiated in the campus only. So you'll get a free manpower. They'll get the project. Those students, they will get the project, and some of their innovative ideas could be converted into some useful products. And of course, some dedicated workplace is also required, and I'm sure that your management may be generously, they may provide some. If you go with some proposals, maybe from your innovative center, maybe I request Professor Banu Prakash to take some lead into this. So maybe your innovation center, you can register, you can get identified yourself as an incubation center. So under the incubation center, you can support some 15 or 20 startup companies, which may be from your faculty members, or maybe from your students, or maybe from outsiders also. You can rent them. And if you are recognized as an incubation center from the government of India, up to about 5 crores rupees can be grant, one-time grant, which is possible from the government of India. Government of Karnataka is also to some extent supporting for the startup companies. And these are mentorship programs. Again, the students, you can take them for the projects or the internship. So you can easily, with a free manpower, you can convert the your ideas into the some products or the useful things. And also those students, they will get some project or the internship at the campus, in campus. And also there is also possibility for them to earn while learning. So that is nothing but the mutual benefits and as a revenue for the resources in the future. Definitely, because in future, particularly this will be for the particularly to the government institutions. In the future, slowly the academic institutions, the government expect is they have to develop, generate their own resources, their own whatever funding is required. It should be developed by the own institute. Those days may come after 5-10 years later. So we have to make our mindset right now only, and that is possible only through the having the startups in the academic institutions. And one of the best, another example is MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, which was started in the Massachusetts sometime during 1820s or 1830s. So it was started by the local corporation during that time. They have permitted this Massachusetts MIT in the Massachusetts city with the intention of booming up the industrial production, so that now whatever the expenses of the faculties or the total professors or the whatever expenses are there, where government is not supporting, they are generating their own entire expenses of the MIT, which is being developed, which is they are earning through these startups or through the these type of activities. So as a revenue resources in the future. Okay. So thanks, and I would like to end with this last slide. I have not failed. I have just found 10,000 ways that won't work. So this was by the great personality Thomas Alva Edison. As I told, he's the inventor for hundreds of products, and about 1,093 US patents have been granted in his name. So among that, one such product is electric bulb, incandescent electric bulb of the lamp. Not the tube light, but the normal incandescent lamp. So for developing that one, he conducted about 10,000 plus experiments, and all those 10,000 initial experiments were failed. That means the bulb was not glowing. So only after one fine day, after conducting about 10,000 plus experiments, one fine day the bulb started glowing. So that time even he's not ready to give up. So that time he said, I have not failed. I have just found 10,000 ways that were not working. So in your academic curriculum, it may be, or maybe in the research or in anywhere in your life. So don't give up. Continue your effort until you achieve the success, and definitely it is possible.